How's it going, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Molloy Twins podcast with Jackie Fox. Just a quick heads up before we get into the episode. This conversation does contain some discussion around some sensitive topics like mental health and suicide, so we just wanted to give a quick warning before we get into it. So please stick around and we hope you enjoy the episode. Jackie Fox, thank you very much for coming down and jumping on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have an opening tradition with a question that our previous guest left for you to answer, so we'll start off with that before we get into all the fun stuff. So our last guest was Wrenn, and her question was, what's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, gee.
And I almost feel bad about it, because we said this when Meg asked the question, like, oh, I can't wait to hear this. I feel like you've lived 9 lives by now.
Oh my God, that's put me on the spot. Erin, to my younger selves, can I know?
Yeah, we can come back to it. But if we go back to that time, I'm not going to ask the age you are because we were raised nice, raised right.
Well, put it this way, I should be at home knitting at this start.
So talk to us a little bit about Jackie before life as a mother and all that other stuff. Like, where did you grow up and what kind of things were you into?
I'm originally from Tala, and we used to go, when we got older, we used to go out drinking in Molloy's in Tala Village. Yeah, that was like a diva at the time.
Yeah.
I just had a lot of friends in school. I didn't particularly like school that much, but I went because I used to have great fun with my friends and stuff and all. But I never gave any trouble or anything like that. I was just happy, go lucky and enjoying. And then as I got older, it's the experiment going out and drinking and stuff and all. And I don't drink now. And
Right.
I drank when we were allowed.
You got in the system, maybe?
Yeah, it was just boring after that. Excitement was gone. But just everything was fine. Like, and friends and happy family. My mum and dad were great, and we used to go on holidays all around Ireland, and just.
What part of Salad did you grow up in?
I was originally in Avonbeg. Yeah, and then I moved to Oban, and I went to Oban school then.
Okay. Growing up, aside from a mother, was there anything that you wanted to be?
I wanted to be a teacher. Now I did do qualifications for an SNA and stuff.
Yeah.
But then things got in the way, and nothing in particular. I loved the likes of drawing and art and stuff and all. So I did a lot of stuff like that. But probably a teacher. But then as you get older.
Yeah.
I
think a teacher's a good label to put on what you're up to nowadays and the kind of stuff you do.
Well, it's funny that I wanted to be, and now I go into schools and
if you spend more time in skills than most teachers. Yeah.
I'm reliving my
subconsciously you never let it go. And they're not responsible for the kids either when you do go to these. So Jackie, I know obviously you've been on plenty of podcasts and told these stories a lot of times, and like before we get into anything, I just want to kick off by saying, like, me and Lee and even our family have just had so many words of like more gratitude and amazement than anything else at obviously what you've been through, but what you've managed to do with that. And I suppose how you put, if you call it positive, but like a positive spin on the whole situation and taking things to where they're at now. So I know we'll get into all, but I just want to say in advance, like, thank you for coming on and being open and willing to share this and share your message and get this out there, because I don't even know what the ripple effect impact will be for not even in our lifetime, like the lifetimes that will live on beyond this, that way. It's amazing. So thank you for the courage.
Thank you.
Absolutely. 100%. I think now I have absolutely no control over this, but I think if we could rewrite the dictionary and rewrite the definition of strength and resilience, I would just put a picture of Jackie Fox in there. Because what you have been able to do over the past few years, not even just in terms of the legislation and all that will go into, but pulling yourself out of the bed and facing the world after.
That was
like,
the hard.
I can't even begin to imagine what that process looks like.
Yeah, that was.
And to see you sitting here today smiling and coming in and hugging, and like, you're just a breath of fresh air, and it's a real pleasure to sit down and chat with you.
Thanks so much.
So Jackie, I want to go back before. How long has it been now actually since Nicole passed away?
It's going to be 6 years.
In January,
yeah.
6 years. So growing up like childhood as Nicole, I know you told so many stories about what she was like as a kid, how bad of a singer she was. Just tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah. She didn't care. I don't have to sing a dance, but she was bad.
Tell us a bit about Nicole growing up and what that was like.
Growing up, I have 2 boys at home, and Nicole was my only little girl. And
was she the middle child or
she was the eldest? That's right, yeah. And growing up, she was funny. She was always up to mischief, you know, when she was a child, and she was lively. She'd got a lot of friends growing up. She had a great personality. She never suffered with anything like mental health issues or anxiety. That all happened when the bullying started. And she was a horrendous singer, but at the time, she loved Drake and Tupac and Chris Brown and Biggie Small and Justin Bieber.
Nice mix there, nice mix.
But we had a mobile home in Courtown in Wexford, and we would drive down to Courtown, and the boys would be sitting in the back of the car, and Nicole would be sitting beside me in the front, and she'd have her earphones on, listening to Chris Brown and Biggie Small and all that. And although it took about an hour and 10 minutes to drive down to Wexford, it was the longest.
Yeah, so like
because I couldn't hear the music. She could only hear the music.
Yeah.
But we could only hear Nicole's voice, and it was so bad. And the boys used to be in the back saying, you tell her to stop singing, but she didn't care. But even down in Courtown, that was we used to go down and say midterm or bank holidays or all through the summer. So the same friends would always come down, and that's why she had a great group of friends. But we used to spend hours on the beach and crab fishing and jumping off the pier into the sea with their armbands on until they got older, and then without their armbands. And, you know, there was a forest down the end of the road, and we'd go into the forest at 1 or 2 in the morning, and it'd be pitch dark, and we'd all only have a little torch and a stick, but we'd always get up, you know, go off the trail and get lost on purpose, even in the forest. And Nicole would say, "Man, you know, do you know where we are?" And I go, "Yeah." I wouldn't have. And the only way we found our way out of the forest was to listen to the sound of the sea. And once we heard the noise of the sea, we knew that would lead us back to the beach and back to the car. But, you know, we could have been in there for hours and we still trying to listen now for nothing. And another funny moment was we had a set of swings outside the mobile home, and Nicole was sitting on the swing, and, you know, she was holding the rope and leaning back, and she would have had hair down to about here. And as she was swinging, her hair was trailing along the grass, and a hedgehog was right underneath, and it tangled in her hair. But if she had just stayed still for 2 minutes, I would have gotten the hedgehog out. Oh, she was the roars out of her she was going to eat her, you know. She was, you know, she was cheeky, not going to lie, and I got up and said many times I'd run up the stairs after her, you know, in an argument, and she'd still have to get the last word in, you know.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure she doesn't nick it off a stone. Yeah.
That's what my mum always says. I wonder where she picked that. But I know she was, you know, and in school she wasn't mad about school, do you know what I mean? But she was brilliant at maths, and she used to help my younger brother all the time with maths. He hadn't got a clue about maths, and she used to help him. Well, she was planning on being an accountant or something to do with the figures, and she had a lot of plans to travel and stuff and all, but she didn't get to do any of those things, you know.
What was the age gap between her and the brothers?
Dean was 2.5 years younger than her, and then Lee was 4 years younger than Dean.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Great name, by the way, Lee. Good choice. I know, growing up, was it always in Bono? Was that where you lived growing up, or did you move around a little bit initially?
No, the kids were always from
Bono. When you were in...
Do you know West One?
Oh, yeah.
It was in West One.
Deadly. And in Courtown, the group of friends that she had, would that have been friends from down in Courtown, or would there have been people from Bono?
Just from Courtown. They could have been from anywhere, and it's just because we're in the mobile home, so, yeah, you know, they just came from anywhere, and that's where she made our group of friends for years, like, growing up. We had the mobile home for 16 years. So,
okay. Lots of memories.
And so much memories, and that's where I live now as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell even the way you talk about it, you can tell it's a real happy place.
Oh, there's just so much memories. That was, if I could turn back to time and do all that part again, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Yeah, it was just, you never imagine what's ahead of you, and so, but no, that was really,
Yeah. And I know you mentioned growing up, there was no signs of like mental health issues or anything like that. We would have seen Nicole, because we're all from Bonoak, from around there, and like I can vouch, like anytime I seen her, she was with groups of friends, like it was that. There was nearly always music fans. Yeah, it's found true, actually, yeah. She wasn't singing though, I know, because that, you must have got that out for it. She, like, growing up, seeing her from around the place, like there was always friends around, she was always in a group, she was at the little youth clubs that we'd all go to and stuff like that, so, like, it seems like growing up, she had a happy childhood, happy times growing up.
And she had another set of friends as well. She was in karate to treat the kids.
Oh, okay.
Karate, and she should have been going for a black belt, but she was the English champion, and she won like so many fights and competitions all over Ireland. She was the All Ireland champion and England as well, like in a few different places in England. Like, so she loved the.
Nice. I know she was only small as well, so she...
No. I'm 5 foot, and she always had to claim she was 5'1".
Oh, did she?
She wasn't, because my mum measured all the kids in a Rice Krispie box.
Yeah.
So she was bang on 5 foot. So I had to claim.
Damn it, they'd be O's when they were comes out, stick the heels on. Yeah. So what was the, let's say, turning point that was for Nicole, or when did things start to shift from like happy-go-lucky, fruity Nicole to obviously shift the gears?
It was actually when she was 17. And when more so 18, she used to go into the village inn in Clondalkin, but she couldn't wait to get to Diva at this time, and you had to be 18. And now, don't get me wrong, she used to go down a few weeks before, and she'd get dressed up in her makeup, and she'd go down to the same place with the same bouncer on the door, and every week he'd say no, because the next week she'd do it again. But she couldn't wait until she reached the age of 18, and she'd go down to this nightclub with her friends. She was friends with, at the time, with a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go down to the nightclub, and everything was fine for a good few months. And it wasn't until it started off with 2 people in particular. And as I said, Nicole was 18, so the main person that actually targeted Nicole at the time was about 3. So we're not talking about school kids or anything like that. And it all started because this main person, she liked Nicole's friend, and the only way she could get closer to this boy was to make friends with Nicole, and that's what she did, and everything was fine. But it wasn't until she realised that the boy, he didn't want to be with her, he didn't want to go out with her, and she hated that. She couldn't stand the fact that Nicole was still coming down and, with her best friend and having a great night, and didn't want to be with her. So things start changing around. She started, as I said, it started off with 2 people, and one of them has since moved to England, where her man had disowned her because of what happened to Nicole. But her man had got all the proof and evidence of all the threats and everything on, and sent them to me. And her mum said, what was the reason for picking on Nicole? And the only answer they gave was jealousy. So everything that happened to Nicole was just due to this main girl not being able to be with the boy. And it started off with little things, Nicole put a drink on the table and they'd knock it off and, say, oh, sorry and stuff. But then it started to get more serious, and they started to stick cigarettes onto her skin. Like, in the smoking area, they'd stick cigarettes into her. I know everything that happened didn't all happen in the one night or the week. They constantly bullied her for 3.5 years. At the start, it was physical abuse. But they also... one night Nicole was coming out of the bathroom, and 2 of these people started to walk towards Nicole, but they pushed her so hard with a force that they knocked her into the corner of a table and actually dislocated Nicole's hip. In one of the pubs in the village inn, and there was a flight of stairs, and one of them, just as she was about to walk down, one of them got her by the hair and literally bounced her down the steps. And as I told you, Nicole loved to sing and dance, and she'd be up on the dance floor and she'd be that. But these people would gather around her, and they'd be dancing with like pretending to be dancing, and they'd give her an elbow in the face, or and they'd knock her down to the floor. But they were very clever. Even when they were burning her with the smokes, they'd be clever, because they say, "Oh my God, sorry, Cole. You're so small, we didn't see it," and they'd help her up. But to everyone else that's looking around, it looked like an accident, But no, when you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. She didn't only go to the same nightclub, to get away from them. She'd go to different nightclubs. But with the likes of the acts that are around you, and people telling them, it's easy to find out where people are going. But they used to follow her down just to hurt her, and that was the physical abuse. Another time there was Spar around the corner from Monok. The Spar, wasn't it?
Cherrywood, yeah.
In Cherrywood, she said, "Ma'am, I'm just going to the shop," and I said, "Yeah, grand." And I got distracted. I can't remember what I was doing, but she never made it to the shop. I rang her because I knew she was longer than what she should be, and I rang her. But she ran into 3 of these people that were from the nightclub, and they beat her up. But they said that they made a fake profile page called Saoirse. And on that, they said that they were never going to leave her alone, and that they were going to beat her up so badly and leave her on life support. And that was the physical abuse before even the mental abuse and even started,
Yeah, and so it started off in the kind of like lights out nightclub setting, and then because everyone involved in this kind of lived within a sort of very close area of each other.
Yeah.
Would it be often that she'd bump into them outside of nightclubs, and would it always end in like a bad situation for her?
No, not often, because she would kind of avoid going out. She didn't really go out that much. She'd go to the pictures or whatever, but she wouldn't see it, or she'd go to McDonald's there. She'd actually text me from her room, and I knew when I'd see the name Jackers.
Yeah.
So just looking for something, she'd go, "Yup, Jackers," and are we going to Macca's, But she wouldn't be in a situation where she'd run into them a lot outside.
Just to pull it back, she would have grown up obviously in Bonog. Did she go to the Indra school? So like she probably would have been with these people from the age of like 12, 13 all the way up until...
No, she...
Oh, yes, she was 2 years old. So going through school and all, there was no issues with like bullying or anything like that. It was only afterwards. So essentially when she became an adult is when this all kicked into.
Yeah.
As married.
Fine in school.
And during that period of time where like so obviously the way I described it, it's like, it's obvious now that it was bullying, but the way they went about it sounds like it was one of those where it's like, is it like they were playing it off as if it was accidental, but there was like something more.
It was only, we knew what was happening, John. They were only playing it off in front of other people, and they'd always apologise, but they kept constantly doing it,
And was Nicole like, would she come home and tell you about this?
Yeah. And it started off with 2 people, but then it's so much easier to bully someone in a group than it is on your own. So this person kind of formed the group.
Yeah.
It did start off with, say, 6 or 7 people, but halfway through it was probably about 15. But there was up to a good 25 people at the end, but not as... It was mainly 6 or 7 people that did the main bullying. The rest just kind of joined in, but not... Still bad enough, but not as bad as the first group.
As that was happening, it was something that I picked up on in a few of the interviews or talks you were given about things, and I always wondered, like, why did she keep going back to the nightclubs, or why didn't she stop? And I know you mentioned that she was quite like, I'm not going to let them stop me, I'm not going to let them win, like, give them what they want.
She used to, as I said, she didn't suffer from anxiety or anything like that, and she'd only go out on a Saturday night, and she'd be upstairs and she'd be getting ready and she'd have her makeup on and her dress on, but then I would hear her throwing up in the bathroom, and I always went up and I'd be holding her hair back when she's thrown up, and I always said to her, "Cole, just stay in." Like, I knew she'd be fine if she stayed in, and she always said, "No, ma'am, why should I have to stay in? She should be able to go out and have a laugh," and she was right. But she would always go out with that fake smile. She had a beautiful, beautiful big smile, and but she'd always go out with that pretend smile on her face, that fake mask that she put on. And she'd always say, "I'm not going to let these people in." And she would, like, the sides where she'd still go down and she'd still dance and she'd still have a drink. And sometimes she'd go down to the nightclub and she'd probably last an hour And she'd ring me and she'd say, quick, ma'am, quick, come and get me, or maybe 2 hours. And I would never go to bed when
Your nerves. Yeah.
oh, I'd be like sick with worry, and I'd lie down and get up from the club and she'd be crying. She's by herself to sleep every night, feeling just as bad. When she woke up the next morning. That was the physical abuse, and then obviously I went to the mental abuse then as well.
Can I just ask before we go into this sort of online space, and obviously only go into as much detail as you feel comfortable here, but what was it like as a mother watching your child going through something like?
So you're just so powerless. When they made the fake profile page and they were physically bullying her, we did go to the guards, and Nicole stood in front of the guard, and then she turned to me and she said, "Ma'am, I can't make a statement against these. Imagine the guards going to their house. Now, they're not kids, remember, so these are adults, you know." Yeah. And she said, "Ma'am, they'd kill me." And she was terrified to make a statement against the physical abuse because they were bad enough doing what they were doing now. She just said, "Ma'am, they'd kill me." Little did I know what was going to happen.
What else had Nicole got going on in life at that time? Was she working or was she studying or doing anything?
No, she wasn't. She's just not long out of school, and she's just ready to, like, at the age of 18, she's just wanted to have fun at this stage, you know, and
the start of the next phase of life,
yeah, you know, she should have been doing what she wanted to do and stuff, but no, then it started fairly quickly after school, like from going into the nightclub, and things just went downhill. So
yeah, it's quite unique in the sense that normally if you think of bullying, it's like 14 to 16, like it's a very like, immature. I'm not saying this wasn't an immature thing, but you associate it with young kids who don't know any better.
I always say, it's like a playground or schoolyard. Like it's you know, bullying. It's like they tortured her, mentally and physically hurt her. You know, it's I do say bullying, but you know,
bullying downplays what it was.
Yeah.
100%. So you mentioned that was kind of the physical abuse start. Tell us a bit about, I suppose, the next phase of that, the online side of things. And
I think it's because she still went out with that smile on her face and still danced, and she was stubborn, you know. No, she get that. But so she still went out with the smile on her face and stuff. So I think they probably thought, well, we're not getting to her, you know. And then it did go online. They made a WhatsApp page, so do you think?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, fine. I always, whenever we're doing podcasts, I always I have to be curious about how much water I drink because it just goes through me with such a small bladder. If you need a toilet breaker on, you can just.
And they made a WhatsApp page group, and obviously Nicole wasn't invited into this group, but eventually our friend Cara was, and Cara's seen everything. But they shared a video of some random girl with her face blurred out, and this girl was with 3 other men. But they shared that all over social media, saying, "Look what Nicole is doing." Every day, constantly, they send her stuff. You know, the likes of Snapchat where things would disappear after 10 seconds or whatever. But they'd send it, and Nicole never once responded to them. She never answered them back because they would have been waiting on that, you know. But every day they'd say, "Go hang yourself and slit your wrist, you know, everyone hates you." And they sent out, they always sent their videos of a noose off YouTube of how to hang yourself. And so this was, you know, from she had the physical abuse, and now it's just mental abuse was just getting on top of her. And it wasn't only the physical abuse, and then you had the mental abuse, but you know, when Nicole was in the nightclub, I'm not just saying this because she's my girl, but she was gorgeous going out, you know, and she would get attention from other boys, and they hated that. They hated the fact that you know, some other lad be chatting her up, and they'd go over and say whatever they were saying to the boy, and he'd go away from her. So what was happening to my funny, beautiful, lively little girl was she was spending all the time in my room, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the rejection, because they were making sure that Nicole wasn't going to be with anyone and trying to take anyone away from Nicole. And then the loneliness, because she started to spend a lot of time in her room, and she'd start to sleep a lot. She'd watch Netflix. She'd cry herself to sleep. You know, it was really, really starting to get her down. And one evening, I walked into Nicole's bedroom, and she had pajama shorts on, and she this is over the space of the 3.5 years. She'd get her nail and she'd start self-harming, then she'd dig her nails so deep into her skin, you know, until they bled, and sometimes on her stomach, but it wasn't then. Eventually she was digging them into her face. We both didn't know what to do. Do you know, we're not, as I said, you can't go to the school and get them suspended or whatever. Like, these are adults, and the fear that Nicole took an overdose in 2015, because of this bullying, and I brought her to the hospital, and the doctor said to her in the hospital, do you regret what happened? And Nicole said yes, and I was relieved for that second, and he said, well, that's good. And she said, no, I regret it didn't work. And just I can't even describe the fear, being so powerless to stop this, the worry. And even if I go out, I'd never go out far, you know, I'd always stay around. So, and I'd always ring Nicole for stupid things, like, you know, but I didn't care. Once I knew she answered the phone, I knew she was okay. Until she didn't answer the phone, and I rang again, she didn't answer the phone, and when I got home, I ran up the stairs, and that's when she took the overdose. She was sent to a group called CAMS, and she was sent to CAMS, and the main guy in CAMS was, you know, asking the questions, and she cried and cried. She told him everything about everything that was going on and how she felt, and I was so disgusted with that, because he turned around and said, Nicole, it's just a phase you're going through. This is all part of life. And I was just shocked that he treated her like she was a stroppy teenager, just trolling.
Overreacted.
It wasn't like that at all. It was, so they really let her down, and that's when myself and my family, you know, tried to build her up. And
I was going to ask, was there any like counselling or external mental health support? Well, I think if that's the level of support you were offered, it's more damage than help.
People so sickened by that response. So it was just myself and my family then just trying to get
figure out what to do. Yeah,
it's just I knew you know, with the overdose, I'd lost a huge heart of cold. You know, I coughed or smiled, staying in our room, and but I hadn't got a clue.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I'm in saying that, not that I hadn't got a clue. I was always fearful that Nicole would do something. The way they brought her down, I didn't know when or how or what. I was always afraid that she would try it again. And one time I walked into the bedroom, and she just sat at the edge of the bed, and she said to me, Mum, I can't do this anymore. And she said, the only reason, Mum, why I can't take my own life is because I don't want to leave you heartbroken. And that just sums up Nicole. She wasn't thinking of herself. She knew if she left me how devastated and, you know, just gutted, and there's no words, you know. But she held on for the 3.5 years, you know, just she didn't want to die.
Yeah, just wanted to end.
Yeah, you just couldn't find a way to stay, you know.
And it sounds like
but I still hadn't got a clue what was going on. What was ahead of us there.
That's why I was going to say, it sounds like even throughout that, you and Nicole were so close.
Oh, and you know, she was a mammy scared, like Anthony was scared too. She was like my shadow, and we just did everything together with the boys. But you missed the girly things, like early shopping, and you know, even the simple little things, like before she'd go out, I'd be giving out to her saying, you know, don't be using my white towels when you're putting on your hat. So see, when you think back now, you know, but no, we were so close, like really, and she'd even tell our friends like that. She'd always say that I'm her best friend. Little shadow.
For sure, it must have been so, as you said, powerless, but like heartbreaking just to see her fade over those years and become a shadow of the Nicole that you knew.
And it's that thing of not being able to stop these people, you know, of cutting my little girl, you know.
Yeah.
She didn't deserve any of it, you know. All she did was want to go out now for it, you know. This jealousy and drama, and you know,
I know it started off, Jackie, with the one girl who was kind of jealous and trying to get in there, let's say. Do you know why did it grow to a group of like 6 or 7 and then up to like 20 plus people? Was it just all getting involved? And
Yeah, it was mainly because when I said it started off with 2 girls, that other girl went to England.
Yeah.
So this main girl was on her own, but she was stewing over Nicole. But yeah, it was just she needed someone else in the group.
Yeah.
She couldn't do it. She was a coward. She couldn't target Nicole on her own. And so, yeah, that's why she just got and the more she got together, the more popular she was,
Yeah.
the more powerful she was to target Nicole, you know.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, that's
It just grows a life of its own. Then it's like everyone else is doing it, we'll just get involved in doing it.
she
Yeah, 100%.
just because, and that's what it was, and it's just because there was no other reason for anyone to,
Oh yeah, exactly. And I know you said Nicole was like open with you throughout, as in like what was going on and stuff. Did that continue even when it got to the point of like her self-harming and stuff? Was she shared that with you, or were you just seeing physical signs of more of like, oh, she's digging her nails into herself? And
no, she kind of hid she hid the self-harming part, and it was only when I walked in, and then I seen, and then when it got onto her face, obviously that was but I knew everything else that was happening, but the self-harming bit, she's so frustrated because she never bullied anyone, she never hurt anyone, you know. She just didn't know how to cope. I didn't even know how to cope with it, to help her, you know. It was just trying to build her back up again. And
I don't think anyone, like, I think even people watching, the only reaction I think you could have is, I'd want to kill the people who are bullying her. Like, that's literally it, you know. It's outside of that. It's like, you're right, they're not kids. You can't go to their parents and tell them. The guards can't do anything really. There was no legislation at the time to charge them under. It was like, you're literally just with your back against the wall hoping they one day stop. It's
going up against all these adults that just, it's unnecessary.
And then the fact, like, if it happens once, you can probably deal with it. If it happens twice, but 3.5 years of constant day in, day out, chipping away at you, it's like...
And they did say that they were never going to give up, you know, that they were going to leave her on life support, you know. Got their wish.
How long before the actual January 18th, how long before that date was the overdose, the first attempt?
And the first attempt was 2015, and then we found Nicole in 2018.
So 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Well,
give or take, yeah.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah. But that was just constant. I started like to see, they're going from such a bubbly person, you know, and so many friends growing up, and the happiness and great Christmases we had, and she loved Halloween and Easter, all the events and stuff. To see her sinking down so low to not even want to get out, like leaving her room. I used to keep trying to get her out of her room, and we'd go to Sliffy Valley, saying we'd go shopping, and as I said, Nicole loved McDonald's, and as I said, she'd text me, but we'd go shopping, but we'd always end up in McDonald's.
What was the order?
Chicken nuggets. I don't know how she didn't go feathers at this stage. And then she was so happy when we brought out the 20 bucks of that when I saw that Christmases came out. Well, yes, chicken nuggets.
Cheap date at least. Yeah, it is. A cheap date anyway. Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. She wouldn't care.
Throughout the 3 years, then was there moments where things did settle down for a bit and then it would kick off again with the bullying and stuff, or was it?
No, not really. It was. I think these people were more looking forward to seeing Nicole at the weekend than actually going.
What they were doing on the whole life, all
and
the
then
planning,
the social media stuff and all, and it did die down. I don't know if I'm jumping a bit though. It did die down nearer to the end,
yeah.
And then I lost Nicole. They did turn around then.
And the damage was done, yeah. And in terms of like having an outside of yourself, because obviously you and Nicole were very close, did she have any friends that were at this time, or did she kind of distance herself from everybody?
No, she didn't distance herself from everyone. She had 3 main friends that she would go out with. Probably not all together, but, you know, on separate times. Like, no, she distanced herself from a lot, but she still had these three friends that were very good.
And were you and these 3 friends, were you communicating, like, oh, Nicole does the same herself, or what's going on?
Yeah, we would. And the thing is, even with the ones that started this and as the group, I knew all their families. You know, like, these weren't strangers, and well, as it got bigger and bigger, she didn't know a lot of them, but these were people she knew, and I knew their families, like, you know, so these were just random
random accounts.
we knew their families, and going to them, and, you know, and as I said, she always kept me up to date on everything, like what was happening, and her friends, but, you know, it's just, you know, when you're in that situation of how do you deal with a group of adults that are getting bigger and bigger against one person. She didn't make the statement in the cards, do you know what I mean? And I think the physical abuse was bad enough, but the mental abuse is worse. It's the mental abuse is far worse than, like, the physical abuse, because, you know, once it gets inside your head, it's so hard to get, and you're just losing that person as the time goes on.
So tell us a bit about then moving up towards January 18th, wasn't it, the date? Coming towards that point, and I said it kind of settled down a little bit with the bullying and stuff. Did it feel like at that time, like, maybe this is the end of it, or did it always kind of feel to you like, I don't know if this is ever going to stop?
It was Christmas time came, and we always went to my mum's at Christmas, and all the aunties and uncles and cousins, we'd all meet in my mum's house. And I honest to God didn't know it was going to be myself and Nicole's last Christmas. Yeah. And it was weird. It's only, you know, when you look back on things then, Nicole was the one that always took the photographs of family and all. She always did forever, so there was nothing new then. But it was only later on that I realised she took a photograph of herself and her nan, herself and her granddad, and each auntie and uncle and cousin and me. She took them individually.
Yeah.
And things did start to turn around, because she started to go out with my niece Gemma and Gemma's friend, and they'd go to a different nightclub in Tallaght. And these people, they didn't follow her down. And so she had a great Christmas, which looked like she had a great Christmas, you know. Yeah. And these people didn't follow her down for, I think she went out twice without being attacked. And I'd ring her, and she'd ring me at the end, and I'd go down and collect her, and she'd sit in the car beside me, and she'd say, "Oh man, that was brilliant." And I knew it wasn't a thing, you know. When Nicole left, she kind of crinkled up her nose.
The things that Mammy knows as well.
And she was so happy with the night, and I was like, oh wow, they're having a great Christmas. Twice now she's had to go out, and they didn't follow her down. And the last night that she ever went out was New Year's Eve. She had a ball, and she went back to my niece's house, because her mum and dad went somewhere down the country, and they had a free house, and Gemma was like, yay, free gas, and brought like loads of people back from the nightclub, and she has it all on video. They were singing, and
great. Lucky people.
She was showing me all this, and she had a ball, and I was going, oh wow, like, this is fantastic. And it was the 17th of January, which was the Wednesday, she actually said to me, instead of me trying to get her out of her room and go shopping or bring her here and there, she actually came to me and said, "Ma'am, I'm going out Saturday. Do you want to go to Liffey Valley and I'll get a dress?" And I was delighted. I was saying that she's asking me to go shopping, and she picked out this beautiful little red dress, and that red dress is in my wardrobe now, with the tags still on it, because she never got to wear that dress. And so that was the Wednesday, and on the Friday she had her eyebrows booked and ready to go for the Saturday. And that night, that Wednesday night, like every night, me and Nicole would always have the chats anyway, you know, and that night she was talking about going out, and I was giving out to her about me white house and the box hat, and every night she'd lean, she'd go, "Night, ma'am, I love you." And I said, "Night, Cocoa Pops," because I always call it Cocoa Pops, you know, and I say, like, "Cocoa Pops, I love you too." And off she went, but the only difference is that she didn't cry. She didn't cry herself that night. Like, I could hear her crying herself all the other nights and crying in her room and so, but that night she didn't cry. And I'm like, wow. I was just so, I suppose I did settle back a bit, you know, and probably dropped my guard a bit, because great Christmas, she's not crying, she's looking forward to going out. She's asking me to go out and get shot, and, you know, everything was great in the nightclub and on, so I thought, oh well, things are changing. Yeah. And then on the 18th, which was the Thursday, obviously, it wasn't unusual not to see Nicole. And she was still in bed because my dad had Alzheimer's then, and I used to go down to my mum's house a couple of times a week. And but I would always go down on a Thursday because my mum would go shopping and I'd mind my dad, you know. And that on the 18th, I came home roughly about 3:20, got one of my sons, dropped him to work, and then I went on around to the school to collect my 14-year-old son Lee at the time. And when we got back to the house, nothing was going on in my head, you know. Everything was grand, you know. And I opened the door and, yeah, Nicole had got the stepladder and she had the boxer dog Bruce, and she loved him. She put Bruce in the bedroom and she got Bruce's lead, dog's lead, and, yeah, so she was hanging from the banisters in the hallway, and it was just... I can't even remember. I remember I didn't scream or roar. It was like a hell. That's all. I've never heard the noise before, and I never want to hear it again. And I screamed at Lee to help me take her down. And I remember going over because she was at a height. And I remember I went over and I put my arms around her legs to lift her up. And I screamed at Lee, and Lee went halfway up the stairs and unhooked the dog's lead. And it's mad. All I kept thinking was, if she comes down, what, she bangs her head off the frame of the door. That's what I was thinking. And I didn't even feel her. I didn't even feel her coming down. And she was still alive, still had a heartbeat. She was still warm. And I lay her down on the floor and I rang the
emergency services.
Yeah, and they were on loudspeaker. And do you know what? I just kept saying, please, baby, you know, don't leave me. I kept telling her that everything was going to be okay, and you know that we fix it, you know. And the ambulance crew came and they brought her into the kitchen, and my neighbours took Lee up to their house. And I was in the sitting room with my best friend and the police, and kept saying to the guards, like, come in, just go out to the kitchen, like, just let me hold her hand, like, she needs me now, is it? And they said no. And eventually, what seemed like forever, which I know it wasn't, you know, like they put her into the back of the ambulance. And on the way to Tala Hospital, I remember going past Bellegarde, and the ambulance took a right and we went straight. And I was saying to the guys, like, no, why are we go? Like, we need to be behind the ambulance. And I remember the guard saying something to the lines of, oh, we'll get there quicker. And I didn't understand what they meant. I didn't know why they were cutting off. What it was on the way to the hospital, Nicole took a massive heart attack and she died. And they were that brave girl that got up every day, that still went out, that held on for 3.5 years because she didn't want to leave me heartbroken. That brave girl that didn't want to die, she wanted to live, she just wanted to be happy. And the ambulance crew got her heartbeat back again. I didn't have a clue that any of this was happening in the ambulance. And when the ambulance got to Tala Hospital, I had a few seconds with her, probably 5 or 6 seconds with her, and she came out of the ambulance, and I something to the effect, I can't remember the exact words, I was just, it's going to be okay, baby. We're here now and everything's going to be okay. So I knew she was still alive, I knew she was breathing, but didn't know what happened in the ambulance. They took her off me, and these people got their wish. Nicole was put on life support. Then the doctor called myself and my 2 boys into a room, and Lee actually said to them, they said to the doctor, is she going to be okay? And the doctor said that no, she's going to die, and she's got extensive brain damage, and her organs are going to start to shut down. And it's weird because even though I hear, like, you hear what these people are saying, but I, honest God, couldn't comprehend the fact that she's not coming home. I
register.
that didn't even come into my head, that I didn't understand why he was saying, even though I heard the words, and this is going to sound crazy in the situation, but when myself and Lee walked into the hallway, and Nicole had a housecoat on, this lady housecoat that I sleep with even now, every single night I smell it, like, and just sleep with her housecoat, but Nicole's hair was all over the place.
Yeah.
This goes through the Well, I remember standing at the end of her bed, and I just looked at Cole and I went, Jesus, Cole, the state. Didn't even much in here. And her friends, her family were coming up to see her, but they were coming up to say goodbye. I thought they were coming up to see her, and I remember I said she'd be scaring him, like, with people coming up, but I washed her hair in the bed, and, you know, fixed her hair up the way she would do it.
It's the kind of stuff only a mammy would do.
I put lip gloss on her, and I was painting her nails, and I remember saying to her, "You're going to thank me when you go home. You're going to take scared of man." And I really thought that was going to happen. I actually thought she was coming home with her. And I remember getting up with the bed beside her, and, you know, I was rubbing her cheek and her hair. I remember going straight up to her face, and I says, "Cole, if you just open your eyes, just for 5 seconds, just open your eyes for 5 seconds and just go, yup, jackers." And we go to Macca's, you know. But she never did. She never. And it wasn't until the next morning, the early hours of Saturday morning, the night she was supposed to be going out, and the nurse that was blind to Nicole with me in intensive care, Nicole's heartbeat started going erratic, and her blood pressure started going all over the place, and the nurse came over to me, and she put a hand on my shoulder, and she just said, "It's time." And it was only then that I realised she's not going on that. No, and I'd only a couple of minutes with her, and I remember saying to her, I lay down on the bed with her, and I was, you know, I was rubbing her face, and I remember saying to her, "Cole, just let go." And I said, no one's ever going to hurt you again. And I said, no one's ever going to touch you again. And the very, very last words I got to say to Cole was, "I love you, Coco." Yeah, and then
I had to get reaction. So I was funny my kids that also.
I thought,
how you can tell that story. If that was me, I think I would have got 4 words in. That would have broke out.
do you know, I think it's because of what I do now, going around to schools, and I think it's times like this. In schools, I don't want to focus on me. I want to focus on what I'm telling them, you know, and I'm trying to, sometimes I have to kind of go into robot mode, if you like, and I'm trying to hold it back. But when I'm not in the school, and I suppose the likes of this, or even at home, and like, it just, I'm flushed, like, you know, I'm just, and it was, you know, it was a couple of days, I think like 2 days or something. After that, the main girl, she put on Facebook, fake Facebook, she put up a post saying, and it sickens me, she put up a post saying, "Oh, poor Goldie, rest in peace, and, like, if there's anyone going through any of this, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, come and talk to me." And then all the others, not all of them, but a lot of them joined in and saying, "Oh, poor Cole, you know, rest in peace, angel," and the usual crap. And then those other people actually was posting on it that wouldn't have known anything about the bullying, and they were saying to this maker, "I'm so sorry to hear about your friends." And that, the fake is that, you know, that sickened me. But the guards came to my house, I think it was that same day. I don't know.
I'd say it's all a blur,
Yeah, it's very, very, either the next day that come out or the next day after, I'm not sure. They came to my house, and I showed them the phone, and I said, "Look, I have all the messages, all the threats, the news, the videos that they sent. I have when they admitted that was through jealousy and stuff, and the guards turned around and said they did nothing wrong. They were right, you know, they did nothing wrong. there was no law, there was no legislation, so technically, they
lied.
did wrong, even though,
Morally.
they killed my dad. They took my girl away from me. But there was nothing in Ireland at the time to charge him with anything, or
When my ma heard your story, the first things I think she said was, how does she get out of bed? Like, if that happens, and she said this to us actually loads of times. If one of you died, like, I'd kill myself. Even though I have 3 other kids, that out there in the evening is like...
It's that thin line, yeah.
Yeah.
After Nicole died, I slept in her room and kept everything as it was. Had her house go. She had her 2-pack poster behind the bed. And not only did she love Jaffa cake, she had a munchie drawer, she called it.
Nice.
Not only did she love McDonald's, she had a munchie drawer because she's mad about Jaffa cakes. But that drawer was full of Jaffa cakes and Red Luke saying, and I kept everything. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't. It was so wrong. And I always say, it's like I'm here and my family and my boys, which are so important to me, are there. But Nicole was somewhere else, somewhere where she shouldn't be. She should be at home with her mum, and all I wanted to do was hug her, kiss her and tell her I love her, just even smell her hair. I needed to see if she was okay, to know her. And I couldn't, and I decided to go with her that night. And tell you at the end if you want to know why, what made me stay, but I got a phone call anyway, and anyway I turned it around, and I decided the only way for me not to go with Nicole was to give me something to live for. And you might think, when you have your boys, they didn't come into me.
Yeah.
The grief there. No, it wasn't. I didn't even realise it was grief at this start. I didn't even know what grief was. Never experienced anything like that. With the sadness was overtaken everything that I had, and I just wanted to go. The only way that I could stay was to give me a focus, to give me something to stay for, something to get up every morning for. And so, I don't know, just ran crazy thing. I said, I'm going to bring in a law, I'm going to bring legislation to make online bullying a criminal offence, because I want other people to go, other people like Nicole to go through that, or other families like us to be left behind, to suffer all that. I hadn't got a clue what I was talking about. I didn't even know, where to even start.
Yeah. What's the law?
But I knew I had to do something. I arranged a meeting with a TD, and he arranged another meeting in Leinster House with other TDs, and it was so frustrating because I'm like, say, 5 foot, and they're taller than me, and they're in their seats, they're looking down at me, and I'm trying to tell them that we need to bring a legislation in, and they're just like, and straight to my face, that's not going to happen, that just doesn't happen. And there's 2 things I always say is, one, never ever say no to an Irish family. Because it just doesn't go there. But to say no to a grieving Irish family who's literally trying to stay for her family, and they're telling me no, and that just gave me that fire in my belly. It pissed me off so much that it gave me that fight. I had protests outside Leinster House. I had a huge march through Dublin City, and everyone brought a single pink balloon in for Cole, and I still wasn't getting anywhere in Leinster House. But it wasn't until I put Nicole's story, I hate saying story, because she's not a statistic, she's not a story. She mattered then and she matters now. But I put Cole's story out on social media, and I was getting so many messages back from other parents, and they're saying my daughter's going through that, or my son is going through that, or my auntie, my uncle, my cousin, and the amount of people that were actually going through the online bullying.
Yeah.
And it was only you know, they start following me and sharing stuff. And there was two things I wanted, and I was never, ever going to settle for one. I needed the two things. And one was legislation to make online bullying a criminal offence. Someone has to be made accountable for dragging someone down so low that they can't stay here anymore. But the other one was I needed Cole's legacy, and it was just as important as trying to bring in the legislation. I don't want Cole to die unnecessary just because of jealousy and drama. When she died, I said to my mum that I was going to make sure that she was never forgotten, because she was too good, you know. You can't just forget about her, you know. I wanted the law to be called Coco's Law, and the reason why she was called Coco was when she was born, my 9-month-old nephew, he was only learning how to talk, and he couldn't really say Nicole properly, and he could only say Coco, and that's where she kind of got her name, well, like our baby name, that baby name kind of stuck with it as it got way up, you know. And so I didn't want to call him Nicole's Law, the bees and Nicole's, you know, so I said Coco's Law. And I remember that after I'd been on the TV, radio stations, newspapers, everywhere putting it out, trying to get Coco's Law, and I'd say Coco's Law. I didn't even, at that stage, I didn't believe that it could be Coco's Law, because don't forget, I wasn't doing that for that. I was doing this to stay. I needed to keep busy, because I couldn't sit at home in my own thoughts. You know, I needed to keep busy. So I just there was one person that took me on, Brendan Howland from Labour, and he's such a kind man. He was so genuine, and I remember him saying to me, I was telling him exactly what I want, and he said, I can help you with that legislation. And hearing someone is actually listening to me was great. But then he said, but the only thing is, I don't think it's going to be called. And I just said, stop. I don't want to hear it. And I said, there's two things that I want: Coco's Law or legacy, and the legislation. And he just said, we'll work at that. You know, I don't know, he was only trying to
the politician.
Politician answers. But after, I think it was nearly 3 years of campaigning, I think it was 2 years, 10 months or something like that, around that, of campaigning, I 10 days left. 10 days. And before Coco's Law was coming in and the legislation, you go through so many stages, and the government broke up, and I think I was only at stage 3. And when the government breaks up, all legislations go back to stage 1. I was devastated. And then COVID hit, that a lot of campaign, because we were marching around the country in Sligo, Galway, and although we were marching around the country, we had March for Justice Ireland helped me, and we had this podium everywhere we went and a microphone. But I always stopped outside Pennies, because I knew all the mums go into Pennies, but all the dads are outside, so someone would be listening, you know. So but that was a big setback. But at this stage, 10 days was left, and the TDs and ministers for Edgar, all these were actually mentioning Coco's Law in the Dáil, and then I seen it all over the papers and on the radio, Coco's Law, and I'm going, oh, this actually might work. And I think, like, oh my God, it's fun to go Coco's Law. Because don't forget, I was fighting to stay, you know. So 10 days left, and Coco's Law was going to be passed on the 28th of December 2020. But 10 days before I came down, I picked up my phone, I don't know what I was looking at, and I seen that Helen McEntee, who was Minister for Justice, who still is now Minister for Justice, and she actually said, Coco, no, we're taking Coco's name out of it. I couldn't even tell you what I felt like that. I failed, you know what I mean? All this stuff I done for Cole's legacy and the law, I felt like that. I failed her, you know, and she wanted to call it the Harmful Harassment Communication Related Offence Bill. And yeah, I just I even struggled saying it. I actually don't. It's not even the harmful harassment; it's the harassment harmful communication. It looked ridiculous. Coco's Law, and so I remember that night Helen McEntee was on Facebook and Messenger, and all the way through, I was never disrespectful or, you know, I was never loud, or I just knew what I knew what I needed to do. But I had to bite my tongue so many times as well, you know, when you're dealing with all these politicians. I sent Helen McEntee a video on Messenger, and I cried and cried, and I explained everything to her, told her everything. And at the end of the video, I did say, if you do that, if you take Coco's name out of that, you are going to put the final nails in my coffin. And I meant it. She just was whipping Cole as if she didn't matter. She didn't. She was nothing. Do you know what I mean? Just to have their long name for the bill. And I think it was 2 days after that, which left me with 8 days to get Coco's name back into it. You know, she arranged a meeting with me, and I remember going in with 2 lads there of March for Justice Ireland, and in our office she had a big mahogany table in front, and all our solicitors, and you know, and that week Helen McEntee was known as the Ice Queen. I don't know what, I have a clue what. Yeah, there's something. And it was obviously something cold that she did anyway, and she was known as the Ice Queen. But she also announced she was pregnant as well. And I remember bringing 4 photographs in with me. And the 4th photograph, after talking to Helen McEntee, and she cried a good bit. And I remember putting the 4th photograph down, and I said, and it was a photo of a baby scan, and I said to Helen McEntee, you have your baby scan, and there's Cole's baby scan. And it wasn't, because I lied. I didn't get a baby scan of Nicole. It was Lee. It was Lee.
Yeah, I like it.
You have your baby scan, there's Cole's baby scan. And the second one was Cole's christening. I said, you're going to have your baby's christening, there's Cole's christening. 3rd one, Cole's communion. And she was just like this small little fairy, like she was so tiny. And I said, you're going to have your child's communion, there's Cole's. But the last photograph that I've never seen, I'll never look at, and one of the guys that I brought in with me, I handed it to me, and I turned my head and I put it down beside the other photographs, and that was a photograph of Nicole laid out in her coffin in my mum's sitting room. And the reason why I had it in my mum's sitting room was because I promised her that I'll never ever ever bring her back to Clondalkin. I said, you'll never have to go back up there again. So we brought her back to my mum's sitting room. And Helen McEntee, she just nodded her head. And I said, thank you. I didn't even have a clue what I was thanking her for. But I knew she got me, because a few years before that, Helen McEntee's dad took his own life due to online bullying as well. So she got it, you know, she understood. But she did, you know, she on the 28th of December 2020, President Higgins signed Coco's Law into the Irish statute books, which means that it's going to be there hundreds of years, forever and ever. It's in that Irish statute. That's her legacy. That's not going anywhere. And then she gave her own memorandum as well, in the law, you know, that's in Nicole's memory. She yeah, she did. She gave more than what I asked for. Which means when Cole's Law was passed on the 9th of February, and when it was officially out on the 9th of February 2021, it was the biggest bittersweet moment that, like, I had to lose Nicole for other people to gain. And which is great, don't get me wrong, you know, there's other people now can use this law, have used this law, there's people in prison under this law. But the bitter moment was then I can't go home and have Cole or say, guess what, Cole, you know, this happened or whatever. And badly, like weirdly, at the start when I first campaigned, I used to say to Cole, I've talked to her, you know, and I'd say, because I didn't understand really what was going on. You're kind of dragged along, or everything, loads of things is a blur, you know. And I used to say to Cole, when this law has passed, then you come home. And I kind of had that idea. I know that sounds crazy, but I kind of had, and this law, you can come home then, and then they can't touch you, you know. But obviously, you know, that's what happens. But it was the biggest bittersweet moment, and that's when I crashed. That's when
It is.
I stopped eating and everything.
Yeah. I suppose that gave you something to put all your time and attention into. That's why.
Yeah, you know, I didn't grieve really, I only started grieving in 2021.
Yeah.
And I gave Coco out to everyone, to the media, to everyone, Coco, but I took Nicole back.
Yeah.
No Coco. And that's when I started grieving. That's when I really realised that it's no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see you again or more and stuff and all, Well, yeah, that was hard. That's when my grief really started. I remember when the law was passed and I went into my mum's house and my mum went to put her arms around me, to give me a hug, and I just dropped on the floor and I just said, well, I just felt cold. I said, want. I didn't ask for a law. Yeah. Do you know, I shouldn't have to do all this. And people say, oh, you should be so proud of yourself. I struggle with that because I shouldn't be so proud of myself, because if the law had been in, would Nicole still be here? I don't know. But, I shouldn't have to do that. She should have had protection. She had nowhere to turn. She had nowhere to turn to help her because there was no law. And people always say, oh, you was so... And then when the law is passed, people are saying, you must be so happy.
As if that makes up for the loss.
Yeah, I did stop eating. I shut everyone out. I didn't care. I went on talks and stuff, but it was the wrong time to do talks because I wasn't mentally prepared for them. The reason why I did talks was, and I did talks at school, I could have done 2 or 3 in a row in the same day. Yeah. And that wasn't because I wanted to do it. I was self-harming. I didn't want to take my own life because I seen the devastation that caused. That what's left behind, that huge ripple effect that's left behind, not only for me and the boys, but, our nan, auntie, uncles, cousins, friends, everywhere. So, and I didn't want to hurt them by going with Nicole. So I was self-harming by wearing myself down to the bone, travelling the country, meetings after meetings still, and not eating. And I actually literally survived on Lemsip and Coke. Cans of Coke. And I just the cans of Coke filled me up because I didn't have to eat, and the Lemsip had the paracetamol on it, so it kind of took some of the pain out of my head. Literally cans of Coke and paracetamol, and that was just to make me do more talks to hurt myself. I didn't care if I died. I just didn't want to take my own life because I knew. Yeah, even though if I did it that way, it still caused a lot, but in my head, it didn't seem as bad.
I think something that I don't think I was even... I was aware of it, but I think just listening to you talk there has really brought it home for me. Is like, I think even when I reached out to you initially, and there's another woman, Jane Haas, who works with the Meaning for Life, and it's like, when we speak to people like you and Jane and others, it's like, how have you used your pain to make a positive impact on the world? And I think we focus so much on the positive impact, and we neglect the fact that the pain doesn't go away. Like, the pain is still there.
Yeah.
And people say, the first birthday is the worst, or the first Christmas. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
The first year was, as weirdly as it sounds, was the easiest because you haven't a clue what's going on. You're dumb. It's like you're looking into someone else's life. It's like it's not real. It's not happening. And the first year, and then I was campaigning and stuff. So the first year was the easiest. It was the second year that hit you even harder because it's too long now. I haven't seen her in ages. I haven't seen her face. I haven't hugged her, and it's starting to get real. The reality is starting to kick in then. And so yeah, people say, oh, the first of everything, and it could be for people. The first of everything. For me, it wasn't. And people say, oh, time's a healer. I don't know who made that up, because it's certainly not, because I just miss her every second, and not only Christmas, like Christmas, I hate Christmas. I hate Easter, I hate Halloween. Nicole loved Halloween, and it's just gone there. She would have been dressed up in her, in her costume. Her scarecrow costume was the last one, and she loved dressing up. But every time she went out, I was so fearful of what was going to happen to her and what we were going to do. But now, with Halloween, I've kind of turned around my head now. Cold safe. She's not hurting. They can't touch her. You know, she's okay where she is, and that kind of weirdly gives me comfort knowing that she's not going to be beaten up tonight or.
Yeah.
Does that make does that make sense? So kind of yeah. So, but Christmas and all, I hate. So it doesn't. Time you kind of. Well, not even adjust. I don't know what you learn. I suppose to live because you have to. You've other. But it's awful. Like it's you know, it's the mission or is the hardest part. Like it's in everything.
Even when you mentioned, like, it's not even just Christmas, the little things on a daily basis that...
Everything, yeah. You know, everything. And even, like, since Cole died, I won't even put the radio on in case Justin Bieber comes on or you know, in Tupac or any of these. I'm afraid that I'll hear her songs or something. Or even if I did, I'd say, oh, Nicole would have loved that song or whatever. Like, you kind of avoid. But I know with me and with a lot of people that I've heard, everything with me is heightened. I don't go out to family events. I don't, like, there's been christenings and communions and 24s, they're all family. And I don't go to any of them because it's not good, because there goes out there. It's like, it's not complete, you know? And I'm heightened with music, loud music, or loads of people in the room, and that's anxiety. I never ever suffered with anxiety until I lost the cold. Now I suffer terrible with anxiety, so I don't go out, and I never put myself into situations where I have to find an escape route. Do you know what I mean? I don't do any family things with my family because the call would have been the buzz and the you know, and taking on pictures, and it's just, you know, it's everything is devastating. But I asked for help. I got help from this amazing fella who's an author of 4 books. They're actually making a film out of one of his books at the moment. It's going to be on Netflix and stuff. And he's amazing. He's the one that actually got me to eat again and got me to get back out. And he's actually the one that taught me that it's okay to laugh and smile while still missing Cole at the same time.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, I used to feel real guilty. And
I was going to ask that.
Oh, the guilt is just unreal. Like, you know, why am I laughing? Why can't I laugh?
How dear I enjoy myself.
Even silly things like, I couldn't go shopping on my own. I always had to have my mum to have with me, because then if someone said you walked over to me, I can leave and you could talk to my mum and dad. I was getting caught in that situation where, I don't want to talk to anyone, you know, and then other people would just look at you and you could see them turning away, and you're kind of disgusted that they're turned away, but you're happy at the same time that they didn't come over to you.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
Oh, it's just crazy. Like, it's just, your mind is so messed up, and you know, it's just so messed up.
Yeah, we asked earlier what advice would you give your teenage self? That's why we were curious. I'm not asking you to answer now, but I was thinking, like, I don't know what advice you could give to prepare anyone for.
Yeah, see, I actually struggle with that answer because, or that question.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, if anything, just, and this is like what most people probably say, like, it's just, you know, be kind of think about what you're doing. And that's hard to even understand, because at that time, if I was dealing myself, there was no internet, so there was no worry about that.
Exactly.
And I do blame social media on an awful lot, with all these apps and even the likes of TikTok. You asked me how old I was. I'm 54. I shouldn't even know what TikTok is.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
But I have done it, you know, and I do flick through, and there is some funny videos on it and stuff now. Still, it's just so much hate and nastiness or slagging, but they're you know, it's a money making thing. I like social media on a lot of things, you know, an awful lot of things that they're not, you know, they don't look out for.
It's not regulated.
And Ireland, I blame the law as well, the lack of law as well. That, you know, all these acts are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and nothing was in place to protect people. Yeah, we should have been.
Definitely. Something else I wanted to ask you, I don't know how well you can answer this, but just in terms of the 2 boys at home, like, how did And how do they deal with things, and how did losing Nicole impact them?
Especially with Lee, because he had to take his sister down, when he was 14. And I remember when Nicole was in intensive care, that night that day that she was brought in, and Lee and Dean came into intensive care, and Lee collapsed on the floor. He just collapsed, and it was horrible because I was in intensive care with Cole, and Lee was brought to a different part of the hospital, so he's there, and they're separated, and the both guys were sedated, and lucky enough, there was a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever, came down, and Lee actually spent 2 years with her, and she was absolutely fantastic with him. But now, at the start, and I go a bit into it, I would hear Lee crying in his room, and when I'd go in, he'd be looking at all the selfies, and Nicole loves selfies, and she'd always take them of our brothers and stuff, but he'd be looking at all the selfies. I remember even our last Christmas together, and we were getting ready to go down to my man's house, and Nicole was taking a picture, a selfie of me and Warren, and oh Jesus, Nicole, I look awful in that, don't put that up. She goes, yeah, I know, but I look gorgeous. I think you put it up anyway, But thank God for photos, because, and I always say photos are so important, because all I have is photos and her clothes and, and stuff like that. Photos are so important. If I didn't have photos, not that I forget, they're just so important. I actually forget the question that you asked. It's
a good answer, I suppose, nowadays.
So Lee is doing a personal a fitness course, and he's in his last year now of doing that, his third year, and he's also working part-time in Cortown, where we live now, and in the bookies, but he loves it. And he got a sports car there, and a few weeks ago I'd been teaching him how to drive, which I thought about. Oh, it's so bad, so bad. Now he has his own car now, so he's so first drives away. And so he's doing, he's still good. Dean never ever asked about Nicole from the day she died. He never asked about her. But what he'll always ask is when I come home from school or a talk or whatever, he'll always say, how did you get on? And so that's his way of, I suppose, asking, but he doesn't talk about her or anything now where Lee would be, I suppose maybe he had that connection of finding Cole and stuff and all, and but they and Cole would have been the closest anyway,
Yeah, that was the eldest and the youngest, wasn't it? Nicole.
And Lee's the youngest,
And you've been doing a bit of globetrotting recently over the last little while, haven't you?
It was crazy how it turned out. I never, first of all, I never expected a lot of it. I never expected to be called Coco. So I never, anything that's coming up, and especially after bringing in the law, I thought that was the end of it, and I would have been, at 54, I would have been quite happy to sit at home and knit for the rest of my life. But the European Parliament in Brussels, they got in contact with a film crew, and they asked would I do a short film on Nicole and Coco's and did that and sent it back over to them. So on the 1st of May, just gone, they asked me to come over and speak in the European Parliament. It was weird because I'm sitting next to the president of the European Parliament and the second person in line and the third person, and then it's me in the middle. And
Jackie,
and then it's full, and I'm giving my talk, and we made a documentary, a little film, like, if you like. And the fourth stage would have been the legislation. This is where they decide whether they'd want to bring in something like that, And they asked me then to go to Strasbourg in the June, so a month after. And I literally, from when I went over on the 1st of May, I was back probably 2 days, and I didn't even unpack the whole suitcase. And they said, actually, can you come to Strasbourg the next day or the next day after that, whatever. I'm like, And as I said, I didn't fly since 1994. I hate flying, and I thought, oh, I have to get on another plane, like, 2 or 3 days later. I went to Strasbourg, and they said that they didn't want to wait till June, because that's where they put everything together in June. They wanted to get everything organised and ready before June. So they brought me back over. I did another talk in the Strasbourg European Parliament, and they're definitely 100% bringing in not Coco's law, but a law relating to code to make online bullying a criminal offence in Europe. And it's great because it shouldn't only be in Ireland. Do you know what I mean? It should be in Europe, because this is happening
globally,
everywhere, So it's going to take a couple of years now, and then I went to I did talk in the European Parliament in Croatia and Slovenia or Slovakia. One of them. So yeah, and then I'd be popping back over. I was meant to go back over there a couple of weeks ago, but I ended up getting an ear infection, so I couldn't read it. I was told I couldn't fly, but I didn't mind it. I thought, okay.
You had this podcast, get ready for it.
And then so it's I never in a million years. And then it's another weird thing that happened, which I just don't think of these things. When you're just going along with everything, I never realised even what I was doing at this moment.
Yeah.
There was another film crew filmmaker, Jared Walsh, and he actually took the rawest interview, my first interview thing, and he's been with me all the way up. He's been over in Brussels with me, and he was in Leinster House with me and everything, and all the way through. So the documentary is nearly completed. I've only one more thing to do on it, and then it should be finished. It's got RTE are taking it.
Okay.
It's on for 50 minutes. That's the small version. It was only supposed to be a half an hour, but you can't cut out stuff,
Yeah.
So the 50 minutes is going to be on OTA, and then in February I'm going to be on the Late Night Show, which I know people don't watch the Late Night Show now, but if they watch it, I'm on that night. But then we have so much more stuff putting in it, so we're doing a feature, and it's an hour and a half, but we're promoting that in Europe and America, so I have to
head over. You might get to the knitting when you're 60. Yeah, that's where you.
Well, it's crazy. Like, I never asked for any of this. Do you know what? I would give everything away. Cole was everything away. As I always say, I would do anything for Cole to walk in that door and sing Chris Brown or Tupac in the most horrific, horrendous singing voice that she had. I would do anything for that, and just, just to give her a hug. That's the hardest thing. That is so hard not to be able to hug her, and it's I do think she's with me though. I have to believe that, I do think she and it's weird. Can I tell you why I stayed? What made me recently? Have you got to it?
Yeah, please do.
The night I was going with Nicole, go to see Nicole, and I was all set in my head, and I was happy. I was delighted that I was going to see that. And as I said, I love the boys and stuff and all.
Yeah.
But I couldn't wait to see Nicole. But and this is weird. I got a phone call from my cousin who I hadn't seen in about 2.5 years, and I didn't answer the call, and she rang again, and I still didn't answer it. When she rang again, I was going, right, I'll just get rid of her and thing. And I answered the call, and do you know what she said to me? She said, whatever you're thinking of doing, stop it now. And I'm like, oh, I'm not, like, what do you mean of that? I'm not thinking of doing that. So she said, right, she had a dream. Now, whether it's real or not, this is what kept me weird, She had a dream the night before. And in the dream, Nicole was in this sitting room, some random sitting room, and there was no lights on. But in the background was a telly, and I never heard of the song Codeline, Follow Your Fire. You guys probably heard of that, did you?
Yeah.
So Codeline, Follow Your Fire was on the telly. But Nicole was talking to someone behind the door, and this is like my cousin looking in. And Nicole said, no, ma'am, we don't want you up here yet. You've got too much work to do. And I didn't, when my cousin was telling me that, I didn't understand what she meant. And it was the next day, I had to go somewhere with Lee, and boys being boys, 14-year-old, I'm starving. And he said, can we go into the garage and get a roll? And I told you I never put the radio on in case I had. Well, weirdly in the garage, I put the radio on, and what was on? The chorus of it, "Follow Your Fire." And then I'm thinking, I've too much work to do. What does that even mean? And I was saying to my mum, but when I went down, I said to my mum said, well, you've too much work to do, and you've got to stay and see what this is. But I was more disgusted because I said, well, Mum, she said she didn't want me there. And I was there, and she said she didn't want me there. And then, yeah, that's what actually kept me here. And I was saying, what's too much work to do? Well, Jesus, I know what she meant. And so, and
She wasn't lying.
I think that she, like, I don't know if I have my own path or if I'm even choosing anything. I don't know. My path is just set out to do things, you know. But and even talking in the schools and colleges and football clubs and parent talks and all that. This, well, I plans it. But I do it.
You do it well, too. Oh, 100%. The way you carry yourself and tell the stories, and the way you've somehow not fallen into just being like so bitter and spiteful and coursing the world, but actually going about, and I know it's a negative message, not the message, but like what happened was overall negative. The way you're able to bring it across in a way that's shifting it towards a positive light and trying to make it worth something, you know, make it not for nothing, make sure it wasn't meaningless, make sure that there's light at the end of this tunnel for everyone else who could ever possibly get through.
And don't get me wrong, like people say to me, would you ever forgive them? Absolutely no, never. I will never ever forgive what they didn't take my little girl away. I hate them. But I don't let them consume me. I don't think about them every day because they took Cole away. Yeah. They can easily. I'm not saying that I'm ever going to go. I don't know, but there is always that thin line as well, you know. But and I can't let them people into my head. I can't let them into my head, because I don't know if they're how they do. But I'll never forgive them. And the only thing that I've got is karma.
Yeah. Did any of them ever try to reach out, make contact to apologise or to...
Not to apologise. When I started bringing in the law, when I started campaigning for it, there was a few of them got scared because they didn't know if they were going to be prosecuted or not.
Yeah.
You know what? Bringing the law, they didn't know if they were. So what they did was they threatened me. They said they were going to put petrol bombs through my letterbox and you know, try and stop me from doing it. I didn't care. I said, don't throw it in my letterbox. Come up and give it to me. You know, they couldn't hurt me any more than I was already hurt. But no, they got nasty. No, all of them obviously the main. No, they got. Because they didn't, and they can't be prosecuted because there was no down. Yeah, it was only from the 9th of February on up.
Can I ask you a personal question, if you don't mind? You don't have to answer it off your cultist, but what gets you through the tough days nowadays? Like, is there, I don't know, something you would listen to, something you would do, a place you would go?
And the tough days, well, that friend that helped me to laugh, but he's my rock, and from that day, like we're with each other all the time. He's always there for me. He gets me through it. But when I know Nicole's anniversary is coming up in January, most people have an anniversary, a 1-day anniversary, if you like. With Nicole's anniversary, it's from the 18th, 19th, and 20th, because the 18th is the day I found her, and the 20th is when she died. I can't pick which one is the worst day, you know what I mean? But the three of them are just as bad. And normally, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do, I would talk to my friend Gary on the phone, but normally I just want to leave me alone. I would stay in my room. I would put Netflix on. It'd be on. I wouldn't be watching it. I always have Cole's house call, and I just snuggle up, and I honestly say when we watch Netflix or whatever, to snuggle in our house coat, and I cry, and then I start crying. I think it's just, you just have to go. Yeah. Just go with it. You know, just go with. I don't have to be brave, and the boys know, because they're going through it as well. You know, they know, like, just leave us alone. Just just leave it alone until I get through that day. It's just riding the emotions, really. I live right at the beach now as well, our happy place where we were. So I think the beach is great for your head, and going for the walks with the brings the dog.
Was that something moving to Corktown? Was that always in the pipeline for you, or just after?
No.
I see.
I had a mortgage after Cole passed, and I had a mortgage. When Nicole died, myself and the boys were like prisoners in our house, and the boys wanted to kill them. And I wanted to kill them. And I always said, and I say if I wanted bread or milk or whatever, I could go to any of the shops in Clondalkin, and I would have to drive to Tana.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see any of them.
Yeah.
And I even said to the guard, like, you know, if I was in my car and I seen one of them walking down the road, would I accelerate? Probably. And I didn't know if I probably would.
Yeah.
So I didn't put myself in that situation. And then I had the mortgage. So as soon as the mortgage was paid off, the only place I would ever go is our happy place. It's not our happy ever after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Cole's not there. But it is much better for her. We're right at the beach. You know, I can go to the shop. I can go anywhere, and I don't have to see any. That's a huge thing for you.
Yeah, change the environments. Really. Can I ask Jackie, just for anyone who's listening who may not be familiar with it, what is Coco's Law? What does it kind of cover, and what protection does it offer for people?
In the short version, you can't. It doesn't have to be to the extent of what they did to Cole, but to cause someone so much distress, to cause someone to self-harm, to cause someone to even take their own life, or, you know, to feel that they don't want to be here. And the main thing is, if you have the proof, the text, the threats, you need some. You can't say he said,
yeah,
she
just
said.
make accusation.
If you have the texts and which most people do, and if you have that, and you go to the guards. Now most people go to the guards and say, "I want to report this," and they show it. So what? That means nothing, because that's all you're doing. You're just
reporting.
You're reporting. You didn't ask for anything, but now you must go down and say, if you have all this in front of you, you have to say, I want this investigated under Coco's Law. So now you're requesting something under a law that exists.
So you need to explicitly say...
You say, I want it investigated under Coco's Law because this law exists. Where if you just go down and say, look what's happening, I want to make a complaint. That's all you're doing is making a complaint. You're not asking for anything. And also, and that's important. And I find the guards, at first I thought they were going to think this more paperwork. And, you know, they're absolutely fantastic. They really stood up to it. They were delighted when it was brought in, and they actually go into schools. I explain about the bullying and what bullying does to people, but they explain the law in schools, which they've been fantastic. And also in the law, there's the sharing of intimate images, which before Coco's Law, you could share intimate images of anyone, and it wasn't a criminal offence, which is shocking. But now you can't share or even threaten to share an intimate image of someone with or without their consent, on or offline. So it's zero tolerance. If you do, you will be prosecuted. Now there is people in prison right now, right this second, under Coco's Law, and there's so many up for prosecution, and there's so many under investigation. So, so it's starting to kick off more. You know, it takes time. The guards have to learn these laws, the judges have to learn it, and the solicitors have to learn it. But now it's starting to take. So you cannot even threaten to share an intimate image of someone, with or without their consent, on or offline. And then with the people telling you to go and die and hang yourself and kill yourself, that's, you know, when people bully you that much and it's in your head already, and you know, when you're depressed, you're sad, you're everything, and then they're constantly telling you to die, or sending you, like, it's huge. You know, that's really bringing your mental health down. So you can be, and some of the students in the class, they say, "Oh, well, I'm only 15, like, can I be prosecuted?" Yeah, you can, because it can be from 18 on up for a severer Candy. But it's Coco's law is from age 12 on up, or the juvenile. So it's from age 12. So people that think, and you always get that one in the class on, I can't, yeah, you can't.
Take his name down.
But even the talks that I do, I mean, literally, you could hear a pin drop in the classrooms, because I don't sugarcoat it. I don't. I tell it as it is, because there's no point going in and sugarcoating and
talking around in circles.
That little white picket fence in your garden and roses and stuff. No, it's not like that. So I go in and hit it hard and but that's what he said, bullying can kill, has killed.
The whole time throughout this talk really, but especially there, I'm not gonna try to say the quote. Adam said it the other day. I hope you can remember it, but it was something today with twice. Somebody dies twice, yeah. So say people die twice. Once when you actually die, and then the second time, the last time someone mentions your name. Yeah, and I think what you've done, Carl, will live on forever.
Oh, Oh, definitely. That's never. You're not going to die twice. I'll always say. Yeah, and it is everyone's different, and everyone deals with grief different and stuff. Now, and some people don't talk about it. That never happens in our family. I mean, Nicole even still gets Christmas presents from and it might be just from my family. It might be just like a little bauble thing, our name on it, on the Christmas tree or anything. And it was our birthday there in September, and my mum bought her this little twirly little merry-go-round thing that played music for
Chris Brown.
And so she's still, and when Nicole died, I didn't get her buried. I didn't bring her to a graveyard because we were so close, and I didn't want to leave her in the cold and the dark on her own in the graveyard. And I just couldn't do that. So I got her cremated. So she's actually in the house with us, and I don't know. It's just everyone's different, But and then if I had to get her buried in Dublin, would I moved out? I wouldn't want to leave her there again and stuff. So it's just, I don't know. But her name will always be G.
So in the book,
she has her own legacy, and Nicole, she never liked attention than I am. And then she would go, ma. Or either that or she go, you jack.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's unreal vision. Closing tradition, yeah. So we're going to give you a pass. You don't have to answer.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, so don't worry about your question.
That's like spaghetti, and I can't actually think.
We do.
Unless you
have to. Yeah, but for now, we're not. We would like, if you could, leave a question for the next guest to answer. Any question, anything about life.
I don't know. I can't think.
What have we had so far? So the first one was what?
When I do it into my brain, it's just.
So the first one was what's your 5-year plan? I think, is it? Yeah. Henny was what's your 5-year plan. Kane was what's your short term goals? Yeah. And if they like your long term goals. Jay was how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? And then Meg.
Oh, they do hard. Yeah. You give me something offline and then I'll fail. No, seriously. Also, I just can't.
Is there a question that you ask the kids, say, when you go around speaking?
Yeah, I suppose I could say, what would you do in a case if your child is being bullied, or what would you say to a person that you know is bullying someone?
Okay, yeah. I think raising the awareness around those things is where it all starts.
Yeah.
Trying to get those messages, especially the kids, trying to get that message out as early and as young as possible, because as you said with Nicole, this wasn't kids, this was fully grown adults.
And I've noticed as well, like a lot of it starts in primary, a lot of it as well, especially in 5th and 6th, like, they're finding themselves and stuff, and then that they bring it into secondary then, and it's just, I don't know, it all boils down to jealousy. And if you're good looking, people hate that. If you're good at sports, people can hate that. If you're good in school, people can hate that. If someone is just jealous of you or think you're doing better than them or whatever, it's just a jealousy thing, or the power of being the leader of the pack and having the group behind you, because it's so much easier having a group. behind just than targeting someone, you know. And and they are getting younger. Bullies are getting younger as well, but also suicide is getting younger.
Yeah, there was one in Ballymun recently, like a 14-year-old or something like that. Yeah.
I actually, when I lost Cole, I didn't know where to go. I found a group called Hug. Now we don't all go into hugging each other. Hug is Healing Untold Grieving group, but it's a group that for people who have lost someone by suicide only. No traffic accident or cancer, just suicide. And the facilitators also have to have lost someone by suicide, so they'll understand what you know what the people go through. And I actually while I was campaigning for Coco as well, I trained to be.
Oh, you weren't busy enough for it.
I have to figure it, and I just can't sit with my own thoughts. I have to, and I trained to be. I did weekend courses, went away and did weekend courses, and trained to be a facilitator in Hug. And so myself and another girl ran the Hug group in the Maldron Hotel in Talladge, across from Shamrock Road.
Yeah, the stadium,
So we had so I was facilitating people who have lost people by suicide, even though it was good for me as well, because I was learning.
Yeah, it was
learning stuff as well, so yeah, so that was another thing that I thought I needed to do.
You have some CV. Yeah.
Well, no, and never white college to going together. But I don't know. At the moment, I'm maintaining. That's what I'm doing. And I always say I'll never move on, and I won't. I'll never move on, because that's like, I'll move on, move on. But I have moved forward.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And there's a huge difference between moving on and moving forward. And it's only when you look back on what you've done or how far you've come that you realise you have actually move forward.
Yeah.
But I hate that term, like, move on, because you can't just move on.
I have one more question, and then anytime we say last question, it's at the end of the show. I always have no. I have one. Well, I just want to ask, what's your favorite thing to do these days?
Oh, okay. So my favorite thing is actually photography, and the guy that kept me here, that kept me alive, and wouldn't be here only for him. He, one day, we were going on to do a school talk. He does the school talks with me, and we stopped off in Kilkenny or something on the way to a school, and he was always trying to find me a way to distract. Say Nicole's anniversary or something to, and he actually put a camera in my hands. He was doing photography. He put a camera in my hand. He said, "Just take a picture of whatever." And I actually took a pretty cool picture. I've never taken a picture before. So then he started getting me into it, and then so now we go out in the morning, say at like stupid o'clock in the morning, and we go into town, and take photos or anywhere. And so I love it. It's great for your head. But not only that, but we do a challenge where one day I have to take product photography, say, or then another day landscape, and then another day. So and this is a challenge. So you have to get up and go out and take a landscape or something. So it's getting you up, it's getting you out, and then you have to edit it and stuff and all whatever. But it's been great. That's I love it, and it's just great for your head.
One last thing, actually, this isn't a question, by the way, Jackie. This is because I heard on a different podcast that you were on that everything you do is more or less self-funded. Is that right? Like in terms of like travel around and going to schools and like doing that stuff.
I have I have a charity set up now called Coco's Heart, Educating Against Bullying, and it's just fun to me for Diesel and like I do
the mansion in Cortown. The followers.
I do Cork, Galway. And most of my talks seem to be over in the West anyway, and it's travelling. So now with the charity, I can stay over in the bed and breakfast or whatever instead of, because what I used to do is just say drive to Galway, do my talk, which drains the life out of me. The talk kills me. Oh, never mind the drive. And then I drive back, and then the next day I might have to go to Sligo, and then I drive back to. So now with the charity, it's literally to help me and with diesel or food or staying over and stuff like that. So I just use that so I can keep.
100%. Is it cool if we share the links and stuff, and if people could donate or whatever else?
So that'd be fantastic.
That's pleasure.
Just anyone fundraising, someone did the marathon and they did it. Any fundraising that they're doing is to keep Coco's heart.
Couldn't go to a better woman. Jackie, thanks so much for coming in and sharing everything. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to share your story. And just thank you for your strength and your resilience for showing up and sharing this message, and really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.